Now, a week after returning from his dream holiday to South Africa, Peter Arnonich fell ill with coronavirus.
He was hospitalised for 17 days, 12 of which he spent in a coma. A camera crew captured the incredible moment. The 68-year-old defied all odds, woke up and spoke again to his wife.
When was the last time you saw your wife? Let me see if have you spoken to her since you've been in here? We're going to talk to her straight away. We can talk to her. Might be out.
Hello?
Hello,
Hello?
can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I haven't got much of a voice.
He's fine, darling. I can't believe I'm talking to you.
Well, it's a remarkable moment and really touched everybody's hearts. And Peter and his wife, Ruth, join us now. Well, good morning to both of you. And what a difference.
Peter, you look so well.
You look well. You look well on the way to full recovery, I hoped. That video really touched everybody that saw it because it was such a human side to this tragedy. And the relief and the feeling of overwhelming, I guess, just joy that your hell was over and you were going to go home to your wife. What was the moment like for you, Peter, when you knew you'd come through it?
Well, I nearly just started crying just then when you showed that clip again. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know much about it. I was put in a coma, and when I came out, it was just a relief, really. Yeah, it's just massive relief.
Ruth,
I wasn't sure.
I mean, the thing is, as Peter says, and we've spoken to a few people in a similar situation, of course, the patient doesn't know very much about it. But you, as Peter's wife, know about it every single second of every day because you are fearful about what might be happening. I presume you can't, you couldn't go in and see him, sit by his bedside, hold his hand, do all the things that you'd want to do in the normal situation because of COVID. When you got the call, what was your reaction?
Oh, goodness. I think you heard there. Just burst into tears. I couldn't believe it. I didn't know I was going to get a phone call. I knew they were waking him up on that particular day, and it was just waiting for the hospital to ring me to let me know that he'd come round. But to get that phone call, I can't tell you, I was so relieved. And I think every emotion you can think of, everything.
Did you think, yeah. Ruth, before that call, did you fear the worst? Did you think you may never see your husband again?
I wouldn't entertain that. I just pushed it all to the back of my mind. As far as I was concerned, Peter was coming home. We'd had a lovely holiday. It was to celebrate our 40th wedding anniversary. And I just wanted him to be home to actually celebrate the actual day. And lucky enough, thanks to all the marvellous people at Maidstone Hospital, he did come home. We were one of the very lucky ones.
And Peter, how do you feel about the people that saved your life?
Oh, there's no words to describe it, really. I'm hoping that when this is all over, I can go back and hug them all because they were really good to me.
Well,
we can give you a little virtual hug, actually.
You don't need to wait too long because the doctor who was with you when you came round from the coma, Dr. Andy Taylor, joins us now, and also the physiotherapist who helped with your recovery, Mike Hathaway. Peter, what would you like to say to these two men who were part of your recovery?
There's no words I can say. Good. Thank you very much. Doesn't seem enough, really. It's fantastic, and I'm so pleased without you, I wouldn't have survived, and I'm really like to thank you from the bottom of my heart, really.
And Dr. Andy Taylor, when you see somebody like Peter back at home with his family, looking happy and well again, I mean, it must make all the heartache and hard work and risk that you're all going through, it must make it all feel just so worthwhile.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for us, especially those of us who work in intensive care, we're a massive team. There's doctors, there's nurses, there's theatre staff, ODPs, pharmacists, physios like Mike here. Masses of people get involved, and we only tend to see them when they're really sick, and we don't see their character, we don't see what they're like, and it's only, thank you, Peter, for coming on, but it's only when we get to see this that we get to see them back as normal people again, in their own survival, in their own environments, doing what they normally do. And we're actually relatively quiet at the moment, but we're expecting to go through it again. And And to see people like Peter back on his feet gives us real sort of courage and inspiration to carry on and keep going as we were.
Ruth, what would you like to say to these guys? Because without them, you may not have Peter sitting next to you.
Oh gosh, just a huge thank you. I don't think there's any words at all that I can say that will convey my gratitude. I've just got my man home, and
we know, we can see how happy you are. It's fantastic, and as you say, we could hear from the phone call the relief, the enormous relief. Mike Hathaway, as a physio, I think a lot of people assume that once you're out of the coma, once you're off the ventilator, and once you're home, you know, that it's all sort of, you know, okay from there. But we know from COVID that this actually has long-term effects in some cases, doesn't it? And there is a recovery process that you have to go through simply because you have been in ICU and been on a ventilator.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, we know from when patients are on ventilators for long periods of time, they get very weak, their muscles of breathing get weak, their whole bodies get very weak, and it's all well and good getting off that breathing machine and getting over that initial spell, but the side effects last weeks and weeks and weeks. But when we saw Peter, he was a very fit man before he got unwell, and actually did very well after coming off the ventilator. Within a couple of days was up on his feet and was one very determined chap. Did very, very well. I went to go see him on the ward, and a couple of days on there he was progressing really nicely. We've given him a few telephone calls the last few weeks just to try keep in touch, make sure he's progressing well, giving him some sort of advice and information, but he's done a lot of the hard work himself, and testament to him and his character, he's really done really well.
And Peter, you know, everyone is always curious when their loved ones are in a coma. You know, can they hear anything? Do they feel anything? Do they remember anything? You remembered, didn't you, when you came round? A lot of stuff that was going on while you were in your coma.
I did, and I certainly could hear the nurses and the doctors. I could definitely hear doctors talking while I was in the coma.
What a strange feeling that must have been.
Yeah, lots of illusions and got paranoid about things. I think Dr. Andy had to tell me that the hospital wasn't being attacked because I thought it was being attacked.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Andy, I mean, it's an important point, isn't it? That these patients may be in comas, they may be on ventilators, but actually a lot of their senses still quite alert.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we load them up with lots of different drugs to make it so that we can take over their ventilation and do these sort of things. But one of the first things we always learn is that their hearing tends to be the last thing that goes. If they're not 100% asleep, they can often hear you. And one of the things, the mantras we always learn is to be careful what you say around them, because they might still hear what you're saying. But also that's a positive thing. It gives us a chance to tell them that they're fine, tell them they're safe, make them feel comfortable, make them feel calm. And you know, they're in a very strange environment, and they hear lots of strange noises, lots of alarms, lots of beeps and buzzes and all sorts of things. But yeah, it's important to remember that they may hear what you're saying, and to be positive and say positive things to them.
Well, final words to Peter and Ruth. What do you want to say to these guys before we let them go?
Thank you, guys. We love you.
You couldn't say anything more. It could mean any more. Fabulous. Lovely to reunite you both, all four of you. And we look forward to catching up with you and see how you get on as you go on down the line. Good, best of luck to you, Peter.
Thank you.
And thank you very much to Dr. Taylor and to Mike for the wonderful work that you continue to do. Best of luck to you guys and your teams as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. We look forward to seeing Peter in face.
Yeah, because you're going to get a hug when the 2 meters
When you're allowed
end.
to. When you're allowed to. Thanks a lot, guys.
8:47. Great to see them all. Up next.